Hello, my name is Tony.
And my name is Tia.
And we are the Tiony team. The challenge we chose today was to choose a dish and map the life cycle of it.
So we did a before and after. The before was the non-environmentally sustainable. So we looked through the process and the problem, and then we did design thinking to create a environmentally sustainable dish. And the dish we chose was flank steak with corn and radish salad.
So the process which goes into the dish, if you look over here or over there, the crops that we chose were polluted and filled with pesticides, which was radish and corn. And you see this cow down here, it's a small image, but it's a steroid cow. And these crops are harvested, and this cow is butchered and then transported to your local grocery store or supermarket, and then you take home them groceries and prepare the dish. A problem we saw in this process is specifically growing crops. We saw that it was pollution, we saw it was soil erosion, and land conversion.
And another problem that we saw was managing livestock. There was the animal condition, the animal diet, and the animal health is atrocious. And also the transportation to get it where it needs to be, atrocious.
So if we look at the top images, we see the first image is a cluster of cows, the second, land conversion, and third, brutality of a cow.
If you look at the last row, that spray is pesticides. This is a GMO steak, and also it's a polluted harvest.
So now, environmentally sustainable, we're going to look at the dish. So imagine a world that runs on Wallaben. Wallaben is actually our app that we will talk about later.
So the mission of Wallaben is to change the way corporations and consumers perceive food.
So we use design thinking like we said previously. The first three stages are empathize, define, ideate,
prototype, and finally to actually test it. So with empathize, Tony and I researched different things, and we realized that people want to eat food that tastes good, of course, but people also don't know the process of how the food gets there. And we also learned like some alerting facts, like 1/3 of America's food goes to waste, and that's equivalent to 60 million tons, which is equivalent to $160 billion. So that's like $160 billion down the drain.
So to define, we saw that the problems, three overarching problems were growing the crops, maintaining the livestock, and actually transporting these crops and butchery from the meats to the grocery markets.
Okay, and the third step that we did was ideate. So after we saw the problems, it's one thing to think of all the problems in the world, and it's another thing to actually solve them. So we created like a list of different ideas on how to solve the problem of grown crops. And one of the things that we thought of was like hubs. And in these hubs, farmers would be able to like regulate the temperature, soil rotation, and like all these different things, so it could be easier for them to manage.
Looking at maintaining the livestock, we would create an animator, we call it, to regulate the animal activity, health, diet, and tracking. Transportation would be an animal individual space, temperature regulation for the crops, and monitoring for the animals. So now we're going to show a little bit of the prototype. So this is Wallaben. You have your login, you have your sign-in, then you have consumer, producer, open data. The consumer would be choose a vegetable, choose a meal, create a dish. Producer would be manage my hub, animator, transportation. And then open data would just be annual consumer waste, pesticide use, and find local groceries.
So we would know if it's effective by like having a test run, giving it to different companies so they could test it out, and that's how we would know if it would work. So we would get feedback and continue to make it better and better, and hopefully it will be change.
Thank you.
That's a beautiful presentation and beautiful interface. Thank you also for walking us through the steps of how you got to your product. That was really informative. I was curious, how would you think about integrating ways to incentivize people to choose kind of the more environmentally, like not as detrimental ways, for example, for a consumer and for a producer? Yeah.
So within the app, being that we have participating grocery stores, I'm working with Wallaben, you actually get coupons for the grocery store that you're shopping at, and also it's really come down to your health and maintaining the environment that is around you.
I might just think about splitting out the app into two separate apps. So one that has a consumer focus and the other that has the producer focus. For me, when I look at an app, I see the producer side. In my messed up mind, I think, "Ooh, how come I can't see that part of the app?" Because it's not meant for me. So I think that there's a cool kind of next step there that's probably beyond the scope of the hackathon. But yeah, thank you for walking us through the process. That's really informative for me, and I feel like I have a better understanding of how you guys got to your conclusions.
And were you envisioning, you said something about a physical product as well, like a space in which these foods are grown? Is that what you're talking about?
So the hub, it's like,
Yeah.
you know how they have like greenhouses?
Yeah.
It would be something similar to that, but it would be like, you get to regulate it. So a farmer would be able to see exactly how their crops is doing, and it will tell them when it needs to like rotate their soil so the soil stays healthy and all that type of stuff.
Cool.
So really, our idea behind this hub was to knock out all the people actually doing physical work, which being that we are in the 21st century and we are become prevalent in use of technology, that we want to create this hub that basically essentially control all of the different spraying of the pesticide at a specific time, making sure that the crops are growing at a daily pace, making sure that the natural pesticides that are being sprayed are monitored.
Yeah, you guys should look into a company called On Farm. They do farming analytics, right? It's mostly for big farms, but there aren't a lot of solutions that are similar for smaller farms. But essentially, their business is built on introducing sensors into different, farming environments, so that farmers have better understanding of how their crops are doing in a given season. It sounds very similar to you guys. Maybe you can piggyback on that technology and bring it to smaller farms and people who are, growing crops in the city and that sort of thing. Be cool. Thanks, guys. Oh yeah.
Oh, just an idea while we were thinking is like that dish. Well, I'm hungry, but that's a different thing. But the dish that the dish that you put forward, since you had the grocery list and you had the process inputted already, you could even do something like, if I want to make something, it would say buy your ingredients here or buy this here, and then you could kind of direct people into buy by the best possible steer them in the right direction or something like that, and that would encourage the middle people, like the grocery stores who buy from the producers and then send to the people. It would encourage them to buy from more sustainable locations and products as well. Yeah, great idea.
This is a great opportunity for education. There's plenty of people out there, especially people who are in like food deserts, like they don't even know what the difference is between organic and non-organic. So, explaining the options to people. And I know, again, I'm going to suggest Environmental Working Group because they have things like the lists of the dirtiest or most pesticide vegetables and that kind of thing. So you can refer to those sorts of things and use that for data.
Thank you.